We're here really just to let you know a little bit about what we've been doing in the first 97 days, almost at 100 here. Also to the real reason is to just hear from you and respond to any questions that you may have, hopefully immediately, but if we can't, we'll take those questions back and we'll be able to come back to you with an answer. I want to thank specifically Pastor Medina and the Door of Salvation for letting us utilize this wonderful space that they have here. I know that they have daycare and other programs here, so you should definitely check it out, Door of Salvation Church. Also wanted to thank Cliff back there on the cameras and on WRCT TV. One thing that's interesting that's coming up is that we have a franchise agreement negotiation with Comcast coming up. And so we are going to be kind of planning out the next 10 years of 10 or 15 years of what it looks like, what our relationship with Comcast looks like. Mr. Dowry will mention a little something about that here in a second. Of course, thank you all of the directors and head of the Bureau of Health and councilwomen and treasurer down here. So let me introduce the folks on the panel here. I can see everybody. There's a whole lot of us up here. Huh? We have Barb Kovacs, who is the director of our Bureau of Health. And we have Steve Buffington, who is our not codes enforcement, our code official, BCO, building code official. There we go. He does so many things that I forget what his title is. We have Shilvosky Buffalo, who is our director of community and economic development. Troy Bankert is our chief of police. Michael Dowry is the business administrator for the city. Chaz Green is the director of public works. And our fire chief, Dave Michaels. And we have Councilwoman Judy Ritter-Dixon, Council Vice President now, Sandy Walker, and our Treasurer of York City, Joe Jeffcoat. So thank you all for being here this evening. And there's some folks in the back. Thank you, Mary Apel back there with events, and Ms. Kruger with the Health Bureau. And again, thank you all. Thank you. Oh, and Philip Given for arranging everything and keeping this train running on time. We're pretty close. There's Pastor Medina. Thank you, Pastor Medina. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I really wanted to make this, this is us coming out to you, coming out into the neighborhoods, finding out what your biggest concerns are. The folks from WGAL asked earlier what the biggest concerns are, and I'm waiting to hear more. Of course, this time of year, potholes. I think we can all agree that our streets need some help. We've had a lot of construction over the winter time, and when there's construction over the winter time, in case you're not an expert in highway maintenance or didn't know, it's hard to lay blacktop or concrete in the winter time. So we get a lot of stuff done, or these the companies, Columbia Gas, York Water, they get a lot of stuff done in the winter time, and they try to put little patches down to fix the roads until they can come back in the spring. But when it's 10 degrees one day and 60 degrees the next, and snowing and then pouring, raining, it's really hard to keep those patches in place. So we are very aware that potholes are probably the number one concern that I've been hearing lately. But also, of course, we know that crime is probably the biggest concern. Crime and taxes, probably the biggest concern in the city. And I'm very, very grateful to have today my left-hand man, Chief Bankert, who's been doing amazing things, rescheduling our police officers. I hope you've noticed. I know some people have commented to me that you're seeing more police officers on the streets. And that was, we are bringing some new police officers on to replace those that have left and are leaving. But also just by changing the schedules around, we've been able to get more police out on the street. And while we're still not happy with the amount of crime, I'm glad to see what we're doing, and I'm not going to jinx things by telling any numbers, but I'm proud of you guys for what you're doing, and I'm proud of the city for being being light on us a little bit for at least for the first 3 months we've been in here as far as crime. I'll leave any tax questions to our treasurer down there. As I say, crime and taxes, our treasurer's down there. But we are still working. Mr. Dowry here is working hard to keep us on a good fiscal path so that our taxes will not be going up, even though we do face significant challenges in the future. And I'm just going to go into that for 1 second here, or 1 minute. You know, one of the first things Mr. Dowry and I looked at when I got into office was a huge increase in our pension payments in 2021, a $3 million pension payment increase. So that's the 4th year of my administration. So we have 3 years to come up with a solution. And I will tell you the main solutions right now we don't like. And I don't think you like them either. So it's our goal to, you know, they include raising taxes, and that's not a direction that we're going. So it's our goal, and I want people to understand the urgency. We've got 3 years to grow the value of the city, $150 million. That's what it would take to pay off this $3 million increase. Of course, we're going to be trying to cut expenses other places, and we're already going after millions of dollars in grants to improve our services and to offset some of our costs. But I do not want to start off my communications with folks with any illusions. It costs money to run the city, and there are major increases to our costs. But we have 3 years to work on that, and with your help, and with the help of some other, well, with the help of the folks at this table, we're going to be working to keep everything in line. So I think with that, you know, you'll come back to me. There's a lot of other. Did I start kind of dour? Here are the problems that we're facing. But there's so much good stuff that these folks at the table are doing right now, and so I'll kick it off to Mr. Dowry to kind of give you a little bit about what's happening from our business administration side.
Good evening, everyone. Business administration was about as exciting as that introduction. Good evening, everyone. All right. Primarily responsible for 3 core areas: finance, information technology, and human resources. In addition to those 3 bureaus, we also have parking and WRCT, our TV station, under my purview. So won't bore you with the details of each of those bureaus. I'll stick to the public interfacing parts and what may be most relevant to the group here tonight. In addition to managing the city's finances that Mayor Helfrich already alluded to, probably the most important aspect of the job is human resources. We are only as strong as our staff, as any organization, only as strong as the employees that make up the city of York, and that comes in each of the service areas here before you. Business administration is just that, back office administration, and try to provide that support to the other areas, the support that they need to really carry out their mission and duty here with the city. I brought here with me tonight a listing of our current job openings. Additional listings are available at the information table in the back, as well as online and in person. We encourage all of our residents to apply. Residents are given preferential treatment for most positions in the city. So that's core, definitely the number one thing. HR is definitely number one to what we do. Sorry about that. The website is www.yorkcity.org. That's www.yorkcity.org. And phone number to HR is 717-849-2203. That's 717-849-2203. From there, after HR, I would say that the next important initiative that we're working on is overhauling the financial management system. The city's system is antiquated in several ways. Probably the most important public interfacing part is our sewer billing aspect. And I don't need to speak long about sewer billing to hit some nerves there and what's been a sore spot for the city for quite some time. We are aware of the challenges and are making some progress in that area. I think just this past month in March, our new billing cycle or new billing software just started to show the current activity. So in the March, and if not March, at least by the April cycle, you'll start to see your current activity segregated and highlighted there on the billings. But we still have much more work to do in that area. So anticipate some more information on that front. But just want to say that the overhaul of the financial management system is already 5 years, a project that's 5 years in the making. But when it's all said and done, this is probably a 10-year initiative that the city is only halfway there on. So much more work and much more progress that still needs to be made in that area. From there, I would say the next important thing that we're working on is a financial plan for the city. We started with a 5-year plan just to get some stability. We refer to that as the Vision 2020. But now the focus is shifted to a more longer term, shifting city's finances, and didn't take a day to get into this situation, and it's going to take much more time than even one administration or term to get us to where we need to be. So we have to think a little more longer term. What we're working on now is more of a 20-year plan to guide us in the future and to put the city on stable footing for our kids and their children as well. The last two things I'll leave you with are a little more on a happier note, and that's kind of depends on where you sit, parking. Parking is another aspect that is the most, or is really public interfacing for us. This past year, we completed a parking study, a strategic plan, and over the next, I'll say 3 to 5 years, you'll see the work of that plan starting to roll out as we improve the technology, the access, rates, doing more to standardize, if that's the right word, or to put us more in line with other cities with our fees on street cleaning and some of the other violations that are out there. And not only the street cleaning, but also to pay for parking as well, the garage rates, the street meter rates, et cetera. And then also making more parking options available to the public. So quite a few initiatives there in that area. If you could speak to me afterwards or see me at any time, we could talk more about that parking study and the strategic plan. I don't have any copies of that here with me tonight. That's more of an 80-page plan, but there are several aspects that you would probably find interest in. The last thing I'll leave you with is one of the things that the mayor alluded to earlier, and that's the work on our cable franchise agreement with Comcast. Under that agreement, which is a 10-year agreement that expires, I believe, at the end of 19. So we're looking at planning out the next 11 to 12 years there, but included with that agreement is also our public access television. Cliff Kern does a great job to manage the operation, but we need more help and more work in that area to really bring about local content to the community. It's the community's opportunity to take advantage of cable television and then turn around and broadcast that back to your local market and beyond, as we have simulcast on other stations, partnerships with Lancaster and beyond, the internet, online, YouTube, and the other social media platforms. So as that work gets underway, we're having our first public meetings here on April 30th, targeting the education group, the government sector, but most importantly here, the public sector, looking for your input on our planning and what we want this station to be here moving forward. How can we best serve you? So those planning sessions will kick off on April 30th at City Hall. You can see either Cliff or me after this segment here, and we can give you some more information on that. But again, a press release and more will come out about it. But thank you for all that you do, and I look forward to hearing more about how we can better serve you.
Thank you, Mr. Dowry. Yeah, it's actually April 30th. I think it's going to be an all day, it's a whole day of different meetings. So we'll have to let you know at what times the different groups, whether it's the government group or the education group or the public, we'll let you know on that. There'll be press releases out there, and hopefully we can count on our press to make sure that everyone knows it. Now, this last one was a 15-year agreement. Is this one a 10 or a 15? Do we know?
I think a 10-year agreement.
I thought it was 15. Okay. All right.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. It's an important agreement. And I know, and I apologize, Chief, I know I just saw the note that you have to head out a little bit early, so, and I skipped right over him. So here is our Chief of Police, Interim Chief of Police, Chief Troy Bankert. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do have to leave here soon. I have to attend a victim witness march downtown. I've been with the police department for 19 years. I rose up through the ranks, and the mayor has appointed me the interim chief on January 2nd. I grew up in the city. I went to college at York College, came back, and I'm here for 19 years. Since the mayor's came on, he has directed us towards several directions. One of them, appropriately, is transparency, and I've included inclusion in that immediate goal. The transparency being, you should know what we do, whether it's the right thing or when we make mistakes. We've started to become more active in social media. We interact with the media more often, and not just more often, but with more actual information. The inclusion part that I've added to the mayor's mandates is that something that grew out of GVI, which is the Group Violence Initiative that we started a year and a half ago, which I'll go into briefly. But it says that the police department itself wants to be a part of the community, not apart from the community. So it revolves around the idea that the police department cannot reduce crime without the residents' help. And I believe in that. And so in order for us to facilitate that, we have to have events like this and some other events that we've already have planned out and have already conducted. And all of that is with the intent of the inclusion. The idea is that when you become more familiar with us, not just me, I've been going to them initially, and then we're going to expand it to the supervisors and then other officers. That once you become more familiar with the police officers, the more likely you are to want to help us, whether it's information, whether it's a participation in an event that we may be having. But we want to include you because we cannot do it without you. So we have to open up our arms a little bit. The transparency helps with that inclusion. Several ways that we're doing that. For example, this Saturday we're doing a coffee with the cop. I'm going to be there at Ironic at noon to 2 o'clock this Saturday. That's going to be a monthly event. And that's just an example of some of the talks that we'll have. I've already had very small groups. I spoke with Latinos Unidos, CASA, and several other groups. I have many more on my schedule. And I have guided them towards smaller groups. Instead of speaking or making a speech, I feel it's more important that I go and I speak to 8, 10, 12 people at a time. The thought process there is that you get your questions answered. When you have a big group, you don't always get it. Everyone doesn't always get their opportunity to answer or ask their questions and then get answered, or they feel shy not to ask them. The smaller groups tend to feel more free to ask the questions, and I want all the questions to be asked, and I want to be able to give them the actual answer, or have the time to give them the answers. As the mayor had stated, mostly this week and last week, we've been working really hard for grants. We haven't aggressively looked at grants previously. This year we have. I think we're looking really well with achieving or receiving some of those grants. Probably later this year, I would assume that they would give us the notification. Those grants are related to several different areas of the police department. Some of them is for reimbursement of money that we're already using, such as overtime for events, overtime for enforcement overtime for our group violence initiative issues. Some of them is to reimburse existing positions, and many of those, and probably more so than not, it's related to our support and outreach and the idea of the inclusion. So we're working hard on that. We're hopeful that many of those will be granted to us by the end of the year. GVI is a constant change. GVI is the Group Violence Initiative. We've had some success in 2017. We continue to have success. I don't want to jinx us either by giving you any real numbers yet. It's really early. GVI is intended to be a 3-year evaluation period. So far, we have been outstanding. The mayor and I went up and saw the guru, David Kennedy, in reference to this program, and he's very pleased with our performance and our progress. And we have extended that based on really on a pilot program from him to where we extend the, not necessarily law enforcement portion of it, but the support and outreach. We actually have done, we had the training this week, but we started it actually today. We actually did something in reference to that extension today as the support and outreach. So we're excited about that. And this is what I tell the officers. This is what I've been telling the officers from the beginning, is that change is going to be constant. We're going to take what's good and we're going to throw away what's bad. And it's going to be a constant issue. We already have evaluation meetings after anything that we may do. The mayor had mentioned that we had, for neighborhood units, that we had used a different schedule to span out the officers to allow for more coverage. That was an experiment. GVI is basically an experiment. We're going to do these meetings. Those are all experiments. And what's going to happen is we're going to keep what's good and get rid of what's bad. So I'm already prepping the officers for a constant set of changes, which they don't always appreciate. But we're not going to look at something 1, 2, 3 years down the road and then change it. It's going to be a constant evaluation of what we're doing. And that, I think, is how we're going to be able to sustain the mandate from the mayor as far as transparency and to fulfill my goal of inclusion.
Very good, Chief. Now you forgot one of the most important parts, él habla español. Sí, sí. Su esposa es de Panama? Sí, sí, sí. All right. He speaks Spanish and his wife's from Panama. Thank you, Chief. Yes, the Coffee with the Cops, ironic, is 250, right around 250 West Philadelphia Street, 252, I think, West Philadelphia Street. And that's this Saturday? This Saturday, 12 to 2. So you can come out and have a cup of coffee, talk with our police officers, get to know them. One of my big goals is that we will have 100 block captains that actually know their local police officers, and those police officers will know the block captains. I want that to happen before the end of the year. So that's the start. We have around 400 blocks in the city, and you know, our police officers can't know everybody, but if they could just know one individual very closely, to the point that they trust that person, one person on each block, it would mean so much more for the communication between our police officers and our residents and businesses. So I know you got to run, Chief. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Chief Michaels, you are up next, sir.
Good evening. I'd first like to start talking about the fire on Broad Street and just bring you up to date on that. Since that fire and the loss of 2 of our firefighters, Ivan Flancha and Zach Anthony, several things have been happening. First of all, since that time, I cannot thank the community enough for the outpouring of support that we have received. The thoughts, the prayers, the cards, the flowers, the food, the donations. It's impossible for us, I think, to thank everyone that has contributed in some way. We know you have, and we thank you for that. The community, it's what we love about York. They were here for us in our time of need. And I just want to let you know that we are still here. Our firefighters are going to continue to respond to calls. Our injured firefighters, Greg Altland and Eric Swanson, continue to heal. Both of them had positive MRIs this week, so there's nothing torn or broken. some physical therapy, and we hope to get them back to work very soon. They're both very anxious to get back, and again, they're working through some therapy to do that. As I said, the firefighters continue to, what they want to do, what they're all telling me is they're ready to get back on the trucks, they're ready to help you out like what they're sworn to do. Just this past Sunday, they responded to 2 fires, one very close to here where we are tonight. Again, they did not hesitate. Somebody needed help, they jumped right in there and they did their job like they always do, and they're going to continue to do that for you. On the fire, we did bring the ATF in for an investigation of a cause of that. Right now, they do have that as undetermined. They brought their national response team in, which was quite a number of agents came in, sifted through everything at the site, and right now it is undetermined, but again, they are working on their report. As far as the fatalities, we are going to bring in a third-party independent investigation. It's NIOSH. We're going to review what happened there, and again, we want to prevent that from happening not only in York, but anywhere else around the country. So we're going to have a very thorough investigation of that. We're going to look into our department, and again, we want to provide the best service that we can for you, and our firefighters are committed to doing that. Some of the other things that the firefighters are working on, again, as we're getting back to our new normal, we do continue with our Fire Prevention Bureau. Just some things that they're working on are inspections of buildings. We want to make sure that the buildings that our residents are in are safe. So they do continue to work with that program. Public education, we get out there, talk to work groups, school groups, church groups, anything like that. We want to get out in the community with our residents, with our group, especially our children, and spread that fire safety message. So we continue to do that. Again, with the incidents of March 22nd, the children that have been stopping by the firehouses, it's just been very overwhelming, and the firefighters really appreciate that. Stopping in to see us, to see the fire trucks, to bring cards. We very much appreciate that, and again, we're going to continue to do that. We also have been working for a while now to try to obtain a fire safety house. We're doing very well with some fundraising on that. We have some grants in place. We have some other funding lined up that we think we're going to be able to, well, we know we're going to be able to do that this year. So that is another tool we're going to have. We're going to bring out to our communities, to our neighborhoods, to block parties, and we're going to spread that message, to prevent fires and to keep our residents safe. Our EMA, Emergency Management, they continue to work to update our plans, looking at all types of disasters that could occur, weather disaster, natural disasters, to make sure that our plans are up to date and to be able to keep everyone safe. We also have been working on event planning. So we want to make sure that events that we have in the city, we love the events, we want people in our city, we want people to come to the events, have fun, and most importantly, we want to keep them safe. So we're doing a lot of work on that just to make sure that we have plans in place when these events take place, that everybody is accounted for and make sure that we keep them safe. Smoke detectors. We do continue to provide smoke detectors. Anyone in the city, a city resident, if you're in need of smoke detectors, please call us. You can call our fire chief's office, area code 717-854-3921. When you call us, we send the fire trucks right out, the firefighters come out, and we'll install the proper number of detectors in the proper locations. It's free. We've been running that program on donations. Those detectors that we go out, we get donated to us or we buy through donations. So we have a good supply. We keep that updated, and we'll gladly come out and do that. We have been partnering with several groups to try to get as many detectors up as we can. We do have another program coming up June 22nd, and we're gonna partner with the Red Cross, who has been a big help. They're actually, as part of the United Way Day of Service, we're gonna have hundreds of volunteers in. This particular time, we're gonna concentrate on the southwest section of the city. Again, it doesn't mean anybody in the city that needs a detector, please let us know. We're gonna make sure you get it. But on that day, we're gonna concentrate there, go door to door. The last event we did last year, we had around 700 detectors that we got installed that day. So again, very big for the safety of our department, or our residents, and we're going to continue with that. So also some opportunities there. Any groups that want to volunteer on that day, there will be looking for volunteers to team up with the Red Cross. Not only you don't have to be able to hang a smoke detector, but also it's going to be passing out some fire safety education as well. Just talking to residents, pointing out some tips and things to keep you safe. We are currently, our application period is open. Anybody interested in being a firefighter? Now's the time to apply. Mr. Dowry had mentioned earlier about the employment section on the city's website, yorkcity.org. You just click on probationary firefighter, 18 years of age, a high school diploma, and a driver's license. We'd love to have you. No experience is necessary. Once we hire someone, we send them to the Hack Fire Academy. It's very extensive training with firefighter 1 and 2, some national certifications, EMT. We get you through all that schooling. We're at a point in our department where we're seeing a lot of turnover. We have a lot on that upper end that are reaching retirement age. So we do anticipate, you know, as those retirements come, filling those positions. So please, anybody that would be interested, if you'd like more information on it, you know, on the job, what it entails, I'll gladly answer those, or, you know, please see one of our firefighters on that. Also, just, you know, keep an eye on, we as well as they were talking up here on social media, we try to get our message out on social media. You know, any way we can share our message, our fire safety message, and what the firefighters are doing, we want to get that out to you. That's what I have for now, and I'll, you know, any questions, I guess afterwards we'll answer those.
Thanks, Chief. You and your team are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much. Next we have Director Green.
Good evening. How is everyone doing? Oh, great, great. As Mayor mentioned, my name is Chaz Green. I'm over the Public Works Department. We have a couple different departments within the Public Works Department I'm sure that you guys are aware of and know a little bit about, but we have the Wastewater Treatment Plant, Parks and Recreation Department, Building Maintenance, Electrical Bureau, and our Highway Department. Okay, I oversee those departments, and each of those departments has a director, and those departments as well, superintendents. All right, so one thing I kind of want to talk about is out of our department, what we do is street sweeping. Street sweeping did begin March 15th, okay? Just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. And with March 15th, obviously we're happening on a monthly basis, so please be aware when you're looking on your streets, pay attention to your street signs to see when the dates and times when you shouldn't be parked there. We hate to see anyone get a fine for not moving. Also what happens is with the street sweeping schedules that we do, when they come through, when we have cars that are in the block, there's nothing we can really do about it. So when the street sweeper's coming in, it's a big piece of equipment. It can't move in and out in between cars. So what happens is we end up missing your block. So if you see your neighbors, you know, they may have some cars out there, or anyone who may be visiting, please just make sure you make them aware of it so we can get through. We definitely want to do our job. We want to clean the streets, and we want to help you guys out as well. Okay? Also, another thing I want to talk about, street lights. Okay? I'm sure you guys see some street lights that are out in the city. We're not able to get out and see all of them. Some of them go out, you know, in the evenings, or some come on and come off. But one thing we want to focus on is we have a number. It's our Electrical Bureau. This number is 717-845-9351. I'll repeat that again. The number is 845-9351. We depend on the residents here of the city to give us a call and let us know if the street lights are out. If you give us a call, we'll make the call to Med-Ed. If it is a Med-Ed-owned street light, if it is our street light, we will get out there to make sure that we take care of it. Obviously, it's important for safety, and we want to make sure that we're around and helping you guys out where you need it. Okay. Another thing also, reporting potholes and street repair, as the mayor mentioned earlier. Obviously, that's a big deal. We get the calls every day, and honestly, when we get the calls, we take them extremely serious. When we get the calls, we take it down to our Highway Bureau Department, and we get out there right away as soon as possible, honestly. So if you guys can, please keep making those calls for us. It helps us out a lot. And obviously, with the winter that we had, with the snow, obviously I'm not allowed to say the word snow anymore, but yes, but with those issues, we had some potholes that were created. So we want to make sure we take care of that. If you do have any issues, that number is 717-849-2228. Once again, that number is 717-849-2228. All right. Also around the city, obviously you see a lot of utility projects that are going on. They are between the gas company and also York Water. Gas company, obviously, they're changing out the meters on your homes, and the gas company, and the water company is changing mains in the middle of the street, okay? So there's repairs going on. One that probably pertains to you guys is Wallace Street and North State Street, okay? Water company is getting in here within the next month to finish up the main replacements, and after that, as Mayor mentioned, we have to wait for the weather before we can start milling and paving and giving you new streets here. But within the next month, so once the weather is breaking, so they'll get out there and they'll do some milling and paving, okay? But if you do ever have any concerns or anything in regards to that, please feel free to contact us down in the Public Works Department. We'll make sure we can address it with the utility companies, all right? Summer Parks program for us, like I mentioned, one of the things I do oversee as well is our Parks and Recreation Department. Something that we have here, we have some flyers here in the back for our summer camp, which is going to be beginning June 18th through July 26th, but we are now taking registrations. So in the back, we have the flyer, also with applications in the back. It's a great program. It's for ages 6 through 13, and we do them at multiple parks around the city, and some of those parks being Memorial Park, James E. Gross Park, which is Lincoln Park, Allen Park, Bands Park, and Yorktown Park. Like I said, it's a great opportunity for the kids here in the city to do in the summer. Price is great. We take care of the kids, and we have a great staff that works with them on a daily basis. So please reach out to us and come out and fill out these applications. Also, batting cages will be opening this Thursday. If you look on the flyer, it does say the 12th, but it was kind of depending on the weather. So it's been a little cold out there lately, but they will be opening up this Thursday. Hours will be from Monday through Thursday, 5 to 9, and Saturday and Sundays from 12 to 4. There are some coupons in the back that you can use to get a free at-bat at our batting cages out at the Memorial Park Complex. I also left some cards in the back with my information on it, my email address, office number, as well as my cell phone number. So please make sure you take one when you leave. Any questions, concerns, doesn't have to be today, but maybe a month down the road, you may think of some things that, or some issues that you see on your streets. Please feel free to contact me anytime, okay? Also, I don't get to do this often, but at settings like this, I just like to thank the public works staff. They're a great team. I'm honored to get to work with these guys every day. They extremely care about what they do, the work they do, and they extremely care about the city. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, concerns, please contact us, let us know, and our guys will take care of it. All right? Thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys for having us here, and I'll move on.
Thank you, Chaz. I also wanted to thank our Public Works folks. It was very, very tragic and sad that the fire occurred directly across from our Public Works department, our sheds where our plows and things were, but the Wednesday before the fire, our Public Works staff just did one of the most amazing jobs I have ever seen. We had that snow. It came in heavier than we expected. And at the very same time that was happening, the fire started right across the street, and we couldn't get our plows in and out to even get to the streets. These guys busted out the backside of the Public Works area so that they could get the plows out and make sure that our streets were cleaned up. Then the electricity went out and the gas pumps went down, and they moved the whole system out to the Parks and Rec Department out there by York Catholic at Vander Avenue. So in the middle of trying to address the storm, they were also having to just constantly adapt to all these other things that were going on, and your folks, again, another great team here at York City. I was really proud to be out there with them and see them reacting so rapidly and making great decisions right on the spot like that. So thank you and your guys. Appreciate it. Mr. Buffalo, you are up next.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shovosky Buffalo. I have the privilege of working with my colleagues to the left and overseeing the Department of Economic and Community Development. As expected, with changes in the administration, there will be some definitive changes as it relates to our department, predominantly in terms of the services that we will provide, specifically me, to the community, and that'll be addressed at another notification at some point in the very near future. But in the interim, We'll still continue to deliver the services that we can to the small and medium-sized businesses that patronize the city as well as the redevelopment authority. But the mayor has given me the challenge and the opportunity to specifically work with localized neighborhoods and the residents at the community level. And by doing so, it gives me the opportunity to work with the Alliance of Neighborhood Associations in those respective neighborhoods at a grassroots level where before I didn't necessarily have the opportunity to do so as intimately. So that being said, community groups that range as far afield from Northeast Neighborhood Association, of which we're just outside the footprint, but creating an opportunity to develop and or create some leadership at a localized level here in this particular area. Salem Square Community Association, Southwest Neighborhood Association, all of which I'm hoping to have the opportunity to work with over the next few years, specifically to address what the residents believe are their immediate needs and focal points at their specific area. So consider it, if you will, an extension of your government where, unlike the police department, where they definitively have an effort to do community policing, this gives me the opportunity to work with you all under the mayor's administrative purview to develop community leadership and work with you all to have you all govern and contribute to the community itself from the bottom up as opposed to the top down. So that being said, my primary directive is to lend material support and, I guess, technical assistance wherever needed to advance the initiatives that you all deem appropriate and or befitting of your particular neighborhood or area. So that being said, once we cultivate that localized expertise, we'll continue to move forward and hopefully address those needs that you have specifically in the Department of Community Development. But what I'd like to do is, at least before I pass the mic to Mr. Buffington to my left, is talk about some of the priority projects that are in your neighborhood. About 3 blocks west of us at 300 North State Street, we were the recipients of the Redevelopment Authority, were the recipients of a $1 million grant to clean up that site in conjunction with the developer Penrose out of Philadelphia. We are still awaiting notification from the the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority on whether or not that particular project has received funding in the form of tax credits to advance the development of that site. The developer would like to develop 57 affordable townhouse units for rent for folks in the community at 60% area median income. It's not by any stretch of the imagination intended to be another housing project development, but it is intended to provide quality, decent housing for folks at, I guess you can consider blue collar or working class price points. So that being said, we anticipate notification of all the applicants that submitted applications this particular month, towards the end of the month, and we're optimistic that this particular project will be the recipient of funding this first round to hopefully develop that site into something other than what you see when you drive down the street in its current condition. Additionally, several years ago, in the 700 block of Chestnut Street, there was an unfortunate fire that subsequently we had to demolish the entire block, or at least order the demolition of the entire block, which was the removal of approximately 15 homes from the landscape. There's been increased interest from some community partners to come in and actually redevelop that block, specifically from York Habitat and or other market rate developers to come in and develop, not in this context affordable housing, but market rate housing for sale to complement the housing stock that's already in existence in this neighborhood. So again, as we continue to move forward with the RDA to look at opportunities such as this, be it scattered site or specifically in areas where we have concentrated land holdings, we hope to be able to leverage the relationships that we have with the development community in conjunction with the blessing from the administration to bring these things to bear for the community's benefit. So along those lines, in terms of other immediate projects that could be of a benefit or at least of interest to you all, we continue to move forward with Penn Market. Penn Market is one of the few places that you can acquire produce and or foodstuffs within the municipal boundaries. I won't belabor the topic and talk about food deserts as they address most folks that, that don't necessarily have the immediate access to grocery stores. But it would give us the opportunity to hopefully come in and partner with either multiple food vendors or a single food vendor to continue to provide quality, decent food and or a third place of congregation in our community for you all. So that being said, I continue to be a resource to you. I'm a phone call away. The good thing is that I have the opportunity now, by virtue of the freedom of my schedule, to be much more accessible and actually be out and be able to come out and talk to you all immediately where you are and interface where you may be. Pastor Medina is a long friend of mine, so this gives me the opportunity to actually pop up on more than one occasion besides every other month when you may see me slide in the church in the back pew and actually be a part of the congregation in a positive way to help community development move forward. So with that being said, Mayor, that's what I have.
Thank you, Shavosky. And yeah, I'm very excited because his whole focus is on how we can help the people in the neighborhoods. That's it. That is his job. And we're going to do that by organizing more services, figuring out which services are occurring in each neighborhood, and then figuring out how to bring the ones in that we're missing. And we want everybody to have every tool they can to be successful. That's how we make a happy city. That's how we reduce crime. That's how we improve the school districts, making sure that everybody has the things that they need. That's the way to fix the city, and I'm committed to it, and I know Director Buffalo is committed to it. One other thing that we haven't talked about a lot yet, but he just mentioned it, grocery stores. Remember when we were able to just go out on Edgar Street and go to Wise Markets to pick up some milk real quick, or go out to the Giant out, just barely outside of the city? I seem to have watched over the last 15 years or so almost all access to food. We've got Seatown, I enjoy going to Seatown, but Seatown doesn't provide all of the things that a grocery store in the suburbs provides. We need to do what we can to get groceries back in the city. It's kind of it's an odd thing to think about, the amount of effort it takes to get a reasonably priced gallon of milk when you don't have a car. Oh shoot, I forgot the milk. I need to go get milk for the kids. Oh, but I don't have a car, and while I love the convenience of some of the corner stores, their prices aren't always the cheapest. But it takes effort. You got some kids running around, and you got family stuff to do. It's not easy. So this is a main thing that people need, and I really lament that we've lost most of our food access in the city. So we've got to figure out a way to turn that around. So that's something we're definitely committed to. Next, Mr. Buffington and our permits, planning, and zoning.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Steve Buffington. I've been with the city for 37 years now. I'm a lifelong city resident. I love York City. I live in the city because I choose to live in the city. Our Bureau, Permits, Planning, and Zoning, has quite a plate full of things that we're responsible for. We, over the last several years, took over licensing of tenant-occupied properties in the city. Although we use a third-party inspection agency, we do all the administrative work on the license processing and organizing that program. Obviously, we issue all the building permits, zoning permits, health licenses, things like that. Pretty much, other than public works type permits, if you need a permit, you're going to come to see our folks. We handle all the planning services for the city of York, for development. Our planner works very closely with Shavosky to try and coordinate an organized look at development. Our property maintenance inspectors, who are an awesome, dedicated staff of city residents, enforce the property maintenance code. I know if you have to interact with them, you're probably not very happy, but they are very dedicated to the city and to the job of trying to make the city a better place to live and play. As a part of that, we participate in the Civil Enforcement Unit. The Civil Enforcement Unit is a conglomeration of most of the departments in the city. Chaz's folks in Public Works are a huge part of the Civil Enforcement Unit. The police department, obviously, and permits, planning, and zoning, and oftentimes the county sheriff's department assists us in that endeavor as well. And the primary focus of the Civil Enforcement Unit is to improve quality of life in the city. Our primary means of doing that is through conducting clean sweeps throughout various neighborhoods of the city. Clean sweeps are just a concentrated effort where we come into the area, we notify property owners of violations, we don't cite them, we notify them and give them an opportunity to get those violations corrected. We clean up the streets. Chaz's folks come out there, they blow trash off the sidewalks out into the street sweepers clean that up. We try to make the neighborhood look and feel better. Also, our department works on blight coordination. The blight coordinator works in our department. They help to identify properties that are blighted and potentially need to be taken by the redevelopment authority if the owners aren't able to step up or unwilling to step up and rehabilitate those properties. But we're trying to get some of these dangerous eyesores out of your neighborhoods. It is a long and very frustrating process, but we do work towards that. We just recently, just this morning, completed a clean sweep on the South Penn Street neighborhood from Market Street down to Kings Mill Road. It went very well. The residents had the area cleaned up pretty well before we even got there, which is always our goal. Public Works folks scooted through the area probably in about an hour and a half, getting the sidewalks and the streets cleaned so that the disruption to traffic was minimal. We do 2 of those a month. The first one is what we call the big sweep, where we do actually try to restrict parking, close streets so that the Public Works folks can work safely to get things cleaned up. And then the second one is a smaller, more concentrated sweep where we probably do more property maintenance things than the Public Works stuff, but they still participate. Those areas are areas that are identified by our police officers, by our property maintenance inspectors, by citizens, by neighborhood groups. We're looking to really try and work with the neighborhood groups this year to coordinate some of these sweeps and get some more citizen participation in those. When we first started doing clean sweeps, it was very common to see folks out on their front walk sweeping the sidewalk, sweeping the trash out into the gutter so that the street sweepers could come get it. And our property maintenance inspectors actually got to talk to folks, get to know the people in their neighborhoods, and develop a working relationship with them. So in a nutshell, that's permits, planning, and zoning, and what we do.
Nope. Had my mic on. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ms. Barbara Kovacs, would you like to share with us a little bit about all the amazing programs for residents that are coming from the York City Bureau of Health?
Okay. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. The Bureau of Health mission is basically to prevent disease and to promote and protect the health of York City residents. We basically do that through 2 broad areas. One is through clinical services at our clinic at 435 West Philadelphia Street, and the other is through community programs that our health education specialists administer throughout the community. In our clinic, we have a wonderful staff of nurses and other professionals that immunize people. They do tuberculosis testing treatment. They'll screen people for sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, and then we also have a maternal child health program that works with pregnant women and new infants so that they can have a healthy pregnancy and good outcomes, and then see that the babies are getting off to a good start once they're born. Some of those programs are restricted by eligibility, so those programs would mainly be immunizations because we are funded or receive our vaccines through the Vaccines for Children program, which is a federal program, and you have to be uninsured, underinsured, or undocumented to receive those services. So if you are interested in getting vaccinations, you can call our office down there at 849-2299 and see if you're eligible for any vaccines that you might be on schedule to receive. Our STD program and our MCH program are the programs that are growing the most right now. There's a lot of need in the community for healthy moms and healthy babies. There's a lot of issues with low birth weight, preterm births, that kind of thing. And then our STD program is exploding. There's a lot of STDs in our community, and we're trying to get a handle on those. So fortunately, the health department at the state level has been nice enough to give us another $250,000 for those two programs starting in July. So we will be expanding our staff to be able to address some of those needs in the community. So we're really excited about being able to provide more services for that. And the other thing about our clinical services, that it's going to be nicer weather. Dogs are going to be out, and animal bites will start happening, not just dogs, but other animals. Those are reportable conditions, so we do follow through with the dog owners, the people that have been bitten, to make sure that they receive the right care and that they don't get rabies from something like that. The other services we provide are more community-oriented, and there's been a change in some of our grant programs that we're doing. So we're starting an initiative on child abuse prevention called Parents in the Know. So if you're interested in learning about child abuse, how to identify it, what to do in certain situations, there'll be classes that you can sign up for. We also have a Concussion-Wise program that's going to be working with non-school related athletic programs, so that the parents or whoever is doing the coaching can identify or to help the kids that have a concussion and identify when they can return to school and the classroom and that kind of thing. And we also have a falls prevention program for older adults. It's called Matter of Balance, to help them get over the fear of falling and learn ways that they can situate their house so that they don't have trip hazards or fall hazards within their homes. So there's a lot of information in the back about some of these programs. And the other one I wanted to mention too, the mayor mentioned about food access. For many years now through our grants, we've been working on food access issues in the city. We have a corner store initiative where we've worked with, I think, 3 or 4 corner stores in the last couple of years, trying to help them have the equipment that they need in the stores to keep fresh fruit and food longer, so that people don't have to get in cars and drive anywhere if they need milk or a pepper for a salad or something like that. So we are working with those. We want to expand some of the corner stores that are in that program, because we want people to shop locally and be able to go to their corner store to get the food that they need without having to get in a bus or a car and go out to Walmart or wherever. And the last program I want to mention is the Zagster bike program. I don't know if anybody's seen the bikes that are parked downtown at various locations. They're white bikes with baskets on them. Those are bikes that can be rented. I think you can have a membership fee for that, or you can just rent them by the day. But the idea is to get people out and biking more, not using your cars as much, but you can use them to go to work or to just ride on the rail trail or whatever. But it's a really nice program. We're looking to expand that to more stations and get more sponsors as well, so that people have that opportunity to be more physically active in the community. We also have an emergency preparedness program that not only prepares our staff to be able to respond in a public health emergency, but also educating the community on how they can be prepared for different types of emergencies within the community before first responders can actually get to a location that maybe they would be able to respond and help someone in the event of a flood or fire or anything like that. So I think those are some of the highlights of our programs. There's more information at the back table on a lot of our programs if you're interested in learning more.
Thank you very much. And we have our non-administration friends here. Oh, why didn't anybody give you a mic? Oh, that was an accident. I'm just kidding. Councilwoman Ritter-Dixon, do you have anything to share about your work with council or in the community?
Just to say Good evening to everyone. And since our Vice President of Council is here, I am going to pass the mic down to her that she can share some of our initiatives that the council has put together. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. I'm not going to talk really long. I will tell you a little bit about City Council. We're comprised of 5 members. 3 of us have been elected, and we have 2 that were recently appointed. One of the things I think a lot of our residents don't really know when it comes to council is that we primarily deal with 2 things. One is the budget, and 2 is the ordinances. And a lot of residents don't know that if there's an ordinance, some type of legislation that you feel needs to be passed here in the city, you can reach out to us. And we can forward that information to other members of council. And if it's something that the majority of council is interested in, we can look at passing that legislation. So the best way to get in contact with us is to visit the York City website and to email us. We do have our phone numbers on there, but I can tell you right now, just like everyone here, we're all busy. So even if you do talk to us in person, we'll take a mental note, but it's much better if you email us so that we have it in writing and then we can follow up with you. And we'll send it to our solicitor and we'll see what we can do or what we can't do with it. You're more than welcome to come to our meetings. We meet 3 times a month with the exception of our summer recess. We meet the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. and then we have our committee meetings on the 4th Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. It's open to the public comment. We love when folks come out to our meetings. And then we also have our mayor who attends the meetings now. So a lot of things that residents come to talk about, we really can't do anything about. It's up to the administration to deal with a lot of the concerns that tend to come to us. So with having the mayor there at the meetings, a lot of times he'll stay afterwards to talk with you. I think that's pretty much it. One of the main initiatives that we're doing this year is called Spotlight. And what we try to do is we're trying to highlight different organizations and businesses throughout the city of York, just to bring them into the homes of our residents. So if you have a business, if you have an organization, if you have some type of initiative that you would like to be featured, feel free to email it. Well, you can email us, and then we can reach out to White Rose Television, and we can come to you and do an interview. So those are some things that we're trying to do. We're always open to listen to what our residents have to say because we've been elected to represent our city and our residents of our city. So feel free to contact us and feel free to come to our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Walker. Yes, Treasurer Jeff Coate.
Well, you know they saved the Treasurer's Office to last because we have the most exciting programs of anyone in the city. Basically, we are charged with collecting your real estate taxes. All of you are probably facing this at this very moment because Tuesday of next week is the deadline for paying a rebate. We think we have a really wonderful office. For the first time this year, we do have one of our clerks, Brisa Dean, speaks Spanish, and I think this has been an enormous help, especially to our older Hispanic population in the city. And once again, she's from Panama. We have worked very diligently with the school system to work on our homestead exclusions. If you are a homeowner in the city and live in your primary residence, you're eligible for a homestead exclusion from your real estate taxes. So if you are not receiving a homestead exclusion at the moment, be sure to contact our office, or you can contact the county assessment office in the old courthouse, get an application, get that filled out. That can save you over $500 on your school taxes every year. There are also some other programs in existence. There's one with the state that can provide some assistance for those that are 65 and over, or if there's some other requirements as well. And those are also supplements that you can help to pay your taxes. We've worked very carefully this year with Shelvosky and his department with the RETAP and the LERTA programs. But the really thing that's unique about our department is I don't have thousands of bosses, all of you, but also I work for the county, for the city, the school district, and the business improvement district, because we collect all of those taxes on an ongoing basis. And like Sandy and Judy have said, We're located in City Hall 101, right next to the finance office. So do feel free to give us a call if there's anything that we can do for you or you have any questions. I actually brought a few of our information handouts with me. If you should be getting those in your taxes each year, but here I brought some extra ones and also some applications for the statewide property and rental rebate program. The one thing I asked my staff, I said, well, what should I say tonight? And they said two things. One, be sure to bring your tax bill when you come to pay your taxes, because we're required to have that little receipt by our auditor in the state. That's part of the law. We need that to be able to validate that. And number two, each year we receive hundreds of tax bills back in the mail that don't reach the taxpayer. Sometimes I think people move and they buy new properties and just forget that we need your new address. So if you're not getting your tax bills, please feel free to give us a call. You can go online. There's a change of address form online that you can fill out and send back to us. We have to have something in writing from you to change your address. So please try to check on that if you're not getting your tax bills. If anybody would like to turn this into, I know our intention was a chat, and anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them now or answer them individually after we break.
Well, you are the last speaker at the table here, so yes, that is the segue. Thank you all. Thank you, Treasurer Jeffcoat, and thank you all for your patience during this kind of presentation part of the program. This is the first time we're doing this, and really felt it was important not only for the folks that are here, but also for the folks that might be watching this on White Rose Television and on Facebook to see all of the things and to meet the people. Most of the folks that have been here, I'm the new face at the table, but we're doing a lot of new things, and I'm glad to have you all as partners in this. So let's get into the neighborhood chat portion. So go ahead and hit us with some questions. I think we have a microphone and a dais over here. If you would like to follow Philip, who is meandering in that direction. I didn't point out, and he keeps sneaking behind the scenes. Philip Given, our chief of staff, has just been he's done an amazing job in the first 97 days and before the first 97 days. But he's really keeping me on track and keeping a lot of these things, a lot of these programs going. Thank you. Thank you, Philip. I really appreciate it. Do you have a question for us, Philip?
I don't. We actually, there's only compliments on the internet right now. So everybody, on behalf of the internet, to all of the directors, thank you guys.
The internet loves us?
The
Is that what you said?
Wow.
Wow.
So if any audience members have questions, come on up. We do have the podium here because you'll be on camera, and the internet can love you too. So come on up if you have questions, please.
I know some of you came with questions. Yes, come on. Come on, it's not your first time. You've done this before. Yeah, please, if you're on live on Facebook and you have a question, you can comment directly on there, and I think Philip's monitoring those comments, so you can get questions to us that way also if you couldn't make it out today.
Okay, mine are just kind of comments.
Can you talk in the mic so we can hear you?
Mine are comments just on things that you kind of already touched on. One is street sweeping. On our street, we have, like the street sweeper did a really bad job. He took all the stuff from the bottom of the street and drug it up our way, and for some reason it all tends to go on my area, in front of my house, because I'm always picking up trash and stuff like that. So that was one comment. Sorry, I hate to sound like I'm complaining.
No, that's the purpose of this, so that we know. And afterwards, can you share with our Public Works Director your address so that we can have our folks keep an eye on what's going on with that?
I did call, but nobody ever called me back.
I'm sorry to hear that. We're trying to be responsive, so we'll take note of that as well.
Okay. And the other thing was, and you kind of touched on this too, was the City of York. Whenever I send my bill, they're always like billing me for last month, and I have proof that I had paid it. So I'm always concerned. I'm like, are you going to turn me into collections or, you know, something like that? She said something about a P.O. box or a lock box or something, and that they're behind.
Well, that's a different topic, but in general, sewer billing, and I mentioned that potholes were our #1 issue. No, I'm wrong. Sewer billing, since we've gotten into office, has been the #1 issue. It is a train wreck. That's an official term we use. It's a train wreck for the sewer billing. Mr. Dowry, would you like to share anything more? He already did a little bit. We've got some things in the works, but want to give more details on what's happening there?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's that black eye that you can't hide with makeup. The lockbox, to speak to that part of it, we did recently receive a change from our bank. I won't say any bank names here, but they cut down our lockbox processing from every day to twice a week. So it has hampered the timing of crediting those payments to the customer's account before the next bill is going out. So I can assure you that we're not losing any payments, and that if anyone were to request a statement of their account and the recent activity to show how we're arriving at the current balance, we can definitely pull that information. Hopefully we've been responsive if you have reached out, but unfortunately, yes, there are timing issues with our processing of our payments, and that's part of what we're looking to address in this overhaul.
And the other thing you touched on too was the street light problem. I call them when I see a street light out, because I walk real early in the morning and it's dark, and they always say you need this number, which is like this 10-digit number. Well, I can never remember that till I get back home again. So, and they say, well, sorry, we can't do anything. And they don't, you know, I can tell them exactly where it's at, but they say we have to have that number.
Okay.
Can you text it to yourself? Do you have a phone that you could text it to yourself? Just
I tell you, I'm not technologically all that great.
do you have something?
One thing that I do that usually helps me when we do get calls, and sometimes people just give me a corner and say it's on the corner of a street. If you do that, but also what I do is when I see it, I just take a picture of it with my phone. I take a picture of it, and it helps me remember when I get back, I can go ahead and make the call to get out to Med Ed. So that usually helps me. Then also, if you can identify what street you were at, and you can say maybe in the middle of the block.
I tell them exactly. I say there's a street sign or a speed limit sign on, and it's right at the end of the alley. Yeah. I give them the alley name, everything. Yeah. So it's real specific.
Unfortunately, too, when we reach out to Med Ed and give them that information, we have to give them that identification number for them to locate it.
If you can't give us the number, then you're requiring a city employee to come out and try and track down the exact pole you are talking about, and then have them get the number. If there's any way to like take a scrap piece of paper or anything, that number is the way that Med Ed processes everything.
Yeah, it's like really dark when I walk.
Oh, and then
like
also the other thing is too is that our staff, public works staff, are finished working during the day. So it's hard, you know, they're not out there in the evening to go to take a look when the light is out to identify it. So it's a little bit more difficult too. But like I said, if you could just take a picture, if you do notice any, please let us know, and we'll make sure we take care of that for you.
Okay.
But
well, and if you aren't finding too many, just email me or message me, and I'll put it on the list and see what lights are out near you.
Okay. And the other thing was the trash collection people. When you speak of like littering and everything, when they put the trash in the back of the truck, they always seem to spill it, you know, and sometimes I pick it up and try to catch them, but that's also cluttering.
Yeah, it is in our plans to do more evaluation, and I'm not sure how soon the new contract comes up. Yeah, but in contract time, a couple years isn't very far off. So I plan to, because I've observed some of the same stuff. And, you know, we are friends with the head, what's Anthony's last name? The head of the company. He works with us on the city cleanups and things like that. So they work with us, but this is an issue that is reoccurring that we have to address.
And the other thing is, Infinity, when I got my bill, they said that there is a national sports fee of $7 every month. And they say it's just a Pennsylvania thing and that I should talk to somebody about that in Pennsylvania. There's nothing they can do. It's specific to Pennsylvania. And it's a national, and I don't even like sports, but I still have to pay the fee.
I have heard of that, and I actually, that is not a York City government issue.
Oh.
I can't really help you on that. It sounds like a Pennsylvania legislative issue. Perhaps Representative Carol Hill Evans might be able to help you with that, unless somebody here knows specifically something more about that. I've heard of that additional tax in the list of taxes that you get on your bill. But I have no control or comment over it. I don't think that's within the negotiation purviews with our franchise fee.
Okay. And one other just kind of a comment was the Wise Market on Egger Street that used to be there. They told us that the reason they closed was there was so much theft that they couldn't keep it open. They had guards or whatever that would walk for a while, and they said it was just so bad that they just, and that was what they told us the reason for closing it. I don't know. So, sorry to complain, guys.
That's unfortunate. No, that's not complaining. It's sharing concerns.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Thank you.
If you're not, complaining is when you're not even interested in the solution. That's when you're just out there. There's another word for that too. No, sharing your concerns is very valuable. So thank you. Friend Charles, how are you, sir?
I'm well. I was told to get close to the mic, and I don't know how close I can get the mic. He's way up there. Sorry about that. Couple things. First of all, love the new street lights. I mean, the front and the back is like fantastic. There is one thing on a street light that is shining in the park. You know where the yellow barriers used to be, Michael? Right there. I'd like to get somebody on site to have a conversation about that street light that's hanging in the park. If we could get it reversed where the barriers used to be to help with the litter dumping there. So if you can give me a little advice on how I can get an on-site visit with someone.
The very end of Belvedere Avenue, the last street light on Belvedere Avenue heading south. And while you're at it, I believe the light over the basketball courts in Vance Park is also pointed the wrong direction.
Yes.
If you would turn it around, you would have light over the basketball court. But right now, the light is kind of the other direction. So there's two lights to look at right in that area. Yes.
Yes. All it has to be done is turn out to the street, and I think it will help a lot with all the dumping that goes on there. I mean, I'm looking at 42 years of dump pickup.
I understand.
Yes. The other thing is, sign me up. I want to be a block captain again. I was way back in the beginning of life in York City.
Excellent.
And I'm very excited about it. We have missed 2 street sweepings, one due to a holiday and one due to weather. But I want to tell you, come down College Avenue, there's only one house that has trash on the sidewalk. Some of the neighbors, we've cleaned every inch from house to curb, and then we picked up the curb crap. So.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening. You can pull the mic. You can pull the mic down.
First, I just want to let you know, on behalf of Door of Salvation Development Center, we are so honored that you guys decided to hold this meeting here tonight. Thank you for thinking on us. And we are very aware of the recently, like our Hispanic population has increased more recently, and well, for the different types like nature disasters that we have in other places, and people start coming here to live with their families. So we are very well aware of the increase in our Hispanic population in our city, and because of that, we also wanted to let them know that we are here. We also wanted them to be aware of that our development center has been working in different types of programs. We've recently opened our before and after school program, and we also wanted to bring that out to our community so people are aware that we are here to serve them, and we are ready to also bring services to our community, and also for you guys to know that we are here and we are more than willing and open in partnership with you guys to work on behalf of our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ed. And yes, I think at the very beginning I mentioned your after-school programs before Pastor, before you came in. But yes, I know that you've got some great programs here, and you have room to take in some more young people, right? In both your before and after-school programs. Yep, Northeast folks, you've got a major resource here that is underutilized, and you've got amazing space to, I mean, I don't know how many different programs I've been at here, and thank you for everything you're doing to allow us to use this space. It is definitely a community asset, and we need to work to get more folks in here. And at the city government, we are quite aware of the increase in the Latino population, both in general and, of course, due to the tragedy in Puerto Rico. And we've been doing everything we can to work with the Se Levanta group to get resources to Puerto Rico, also to have ferias de recursos here in the city, so that folks coming in know that there are lots of folks here to help. From the city side, I mentioned that our new chief of police, I think it's the first time we've had a chief of police that speaks Spanish. But we are actively trying to hire bilingual folks. It is, I know people have heard me say it before I was the mayor, and I will keep saying it. If this government can't speak to 30 to 40% of our population, we are not doing a good job. So some of these hirees that are on the list, including my executive assistant, I'm looking for an executive assistant that is bilingual. So you can go to yorkcity.org. I think it's /jobs, right? Just yorkcity.org/jobs. And again, we are actively looking to make sure that our government represents the population of our city. Ms. Elsbeth, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight and taking time out of your day to speak to us. This is wonderful. I'm in the Old Town East Neighborhood Association and Downtown East as well. And one thing I wanted to do is shout out to Grimes Gym and the programs that you have there for the community are wonderful, specifically Cecilia Harris, Miracles in Motion, blind dancing class, Monday and Thursday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Super fun, and I really appreciate it. Love it. The drumming with Louis Woodyard was a great program as well. And I don't know if Hugh Ortner did a great job, and so very much appreciated his efforts. The gardens, and I just was at the Keep York Beautiful meeting this morning and learned that the health department is involved with the gardens, and they're great. And you have a list, and 351 Cottage Hill Road is getting cleaned up on Saturday, so people can go out and help with that. And I'm talking with the city about putting gardens in other places. I'm working with York XL to do more gardens, but very much appreciate what health is doing there. Sneakers over the phone, over the electrical lines. I guess you guys know about that. And there was one on King and Penn, so you probably got that with the clean sweep. But if you didn't, I haven't seen it. I saw it Sunday, but you did.
Did you have the bucket
today.
truck out?
No, we didn't.
You didn't reach that one yet? Okay. No,
Okay.
that's.
Should we call those into anybody specific? Is
yes,
that the
you can
electrical
actually,
company or
It is the
Chaz?
electrical borough because we use their bucket trucks, but we will make sure we get out there tomorrow to take care of that.
Okay, cool. And then just one last thing, gas meters being installed on historic properties. I know Lancaster is looking at filing suit against the PUC, possibly for this.
That is not, I don't believe what was shared with by Mayor Sirachi with me was that they were filing against the company.
Okay,
But
maybe
in
it
the
is.
PUC.
Okay.
So not against the PUC, but against the actual company. Now, we have a different company, and honestly, they were halfway done their work before I got in, so I'm not sure what has happened or what leverage we have to alter that.
I know, I'm not sure that we have much, but it's something I'm gonna reach out to council also, because maybe there needs to be an ordinance or something can be written to help stave it off from the historic district and,
We have been
get a
told,
regulator.
we have been told that you can talk to them, and if there is enough space, they will put it around the side of your house instead of in front of it.
Good.
I haven't pressed that issue, but I had been told that.
I'm hopeful. I'm not looking forward to that if it does have to happen in my neighborhood. And so if there is anything that anybody has any ideas of ways to keep them off the front of the historic buildings, that would be great. And that's all I have. Thank you for everything you're doing. It's wonderful.
Thank you, thank you. A couple points, Grimes Gym is going to be closed for repairs April 19th through May 26th, or did I get it
It will be
backwards?
closed April 16th till after Memorial Day. The Tuesday after Memorial Day, we will open back up. We're having some renovations in the gym, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but we'll have a new floor in Grimes Gym. I'm sorry, not a new floor. It'll be getting resurfaced. This year also, we'll be doing some aesthetics to the front doors. We'll be adding an ADA handicap accessible restroom. We'll be working on locker rooms and doing some painting just to freshen it up, make it more welcoming to the community. Also putting street lights out in front of the gym as well. So looking forward to that. So after Memorial Day, the project should be finished up.
And another project coming up, or it's our annual spring cleanup that we do with Keep York Beautiful, and it is this Saturday. And we have all the supplies that anybody needs. We have bags and gloves and rakes and brooms, and you can come down to City Hall. Preferably organize a group for your neighborhood. Have somebody come down to City Hall, pick up the supplies. Supplies will be available from 7:30 a.m. until 8 a.m. And then we'd like to have all the supplies back to us by 10:45. We have a special trash pickup that day. We have probably green bags usually, so that we can send around the refuse company and they can pick up the bags. But yeah, if you're up for, I think it's going to be a beautiful day Saturday. I hear it's a beautiful day to make it feel like spring, and get out and start that spring cleaning. So 7:30 to 8 o'clock at City Hall. 101 South George Street. You can pick up supplies and get further instructions from there. So we'd love to have you, and that's with Keep York Beautiful. They've been doing a great job for many years now, and I appreciate my staff. When I got off of that board, and now I have people to be on the board for me, and I really appreciate that. Keep that energy going. Everybody's so patient. I know there are more questions. Here we go.
First off, I want to congratulate you on your media, the use of social media. Everything's out there for us to see, because you certainly don't have people who read the newspapers very often or watch news on TV. One concern I have is the handicap ramps on the corners. This is probably the second version of a handicap ramp on most of the corners in the city. There's very poor drainage around those handicap ramps. And when it, freezes over, that's dangerous for the people who need the handicap ramps when you have 6 or 8 inches up the ramp of ice. So I don't know if there's anything with resurfacing some of the streets. When you're going to resurface a street, if you can look at that grading
I know we've had some issues already, and Chaz has been very receptive going out and checking on those. So I know he's already got some experience at it. What's happening there, Chaz?
Yes, actually, been going out when the projects are completed. We've been going out meeting with Columbia Gas and also the water company when finishing up the ramps. There were some, I'm sure, in the past with the new projects that we have completed, well, that the gas company and water company have completed. We've been able to make sure that we took care of the drainage issues. But if you can, let me know of any on the streets that you are aware of. Please let me know, and I'll definitely look into it.
I know Philadelphia and Sherman Street, for sure.
Okay.
Especially the southeast corner. There are 2 ramps. And that, because I end up trying to shovel, everything off of the ramps and the street to make sure that it doesn't build back up for them.
Well, thank you for taking care of on the street.
Okay, thank you. Also, I've been saying this for many years. I feel that with projects that happen in the city, Broad Street is the defining line of city limits. Those of us who live east of Broad Street, we don't see many projects. Now, yes, we have Danskin going on, and unfortunately, we don't have Weaver going on right now. And I'm glad to hear that finally Chestnut Street, something's going to happen. But I think we have a lot of owner-occupied properties yet in the east end of the city. And we used to have pride blocks. Of course, that government funding has dried up many years ago. But I don't know if there's anything that you can look into to start bringing some things happening out here to the east end.
I can share with you a little bit that right now it's East Market, not Northeast as much, but we are about to sign a contract with Downtown Inc. to work with the businesses on East Market Street and on West Market Street. So we're getting some of that expertise out of the downtown, and a real focus of that is to diversify the impacts from Downtown Inc. You may notice that there are more diverse businesses on East Market Street and on West Market Street, Latinos, African Americans, more women-owned businesses. So we're trying to get them to help them organize better marketing, cleaning up the area. Also, speaking of cleaning up the area, one of the big initiatives you're going to see over the next couple of years, and it's still kind of secret, so I can't say too much about it, but the 500, 600, and 700 blocks of East Market Street are going to get a huge amount of attention within the next 2 years.
Good, that's an area that's really needed.
We're down there right now just trying to do some basic stuff because of some bad actors in that area. Just trying to even get it up a little bit. But I've spoken with business owners and potential new business owners in that area to and we're planning some major stuff there. Yeah, I can tell you that much right now.
I know collecting back taxes has been an issue for many, many years on properties. And even when you have a house that goes up for the absolute tax sale after 5 years of not paying 3 years of not paying your taxes, many times those houses are still sitting with the same owners. Nothing's happening with them. And I don't know if this discussion has been had with the school district and the county. For absolute tax sale, would it be possible to look at possibly a 5-year tax reduction of maybe 50%? And that way you may have some developers willing to come in and spend the $15,000 maybe that's owed on back taxes if they know they're going to get a tax break for 5 years.
Shawowski, would you like to field that with her? Okay, well, the first part of it could be with the treasurer, but I'll field it first. I don't think, from my understanding in my years on council, I don't feel like we have a huge problem with unpaid back taxes. And the reason I say that is because on average, 89 to 91% of the people pay their taxes in the first year on time, and then 90% of that 10% pay them within the next year. So 99% of properties taxes are paid within 12 months of the final due date. Is that accurate?
Well, there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. We do have a problem because 37% of the properties in the city of York are exempt from taxation. For the amount that we actually tax people, we collected over 90% of those taxes in the first year. However, where we're collecting taxes are for the higher priced properties. Of the lower priced properties, even though we collected a large percent, we actually had 2,301 people that had their taxes reported to tax claim at the end of 2017. That's out of 14,453 properties that were taxed in 2017. So that is a significant number that are going to tax claim at the end of the year. Michael is right. A lot of those are paid on an ongoing basis in the first year and in the second year. Actually, they have 2 years, and their taxes begin the process of the 3 sales steps. You know, one that you have to pay the taxes, one that the taxes are forgiven, and the third is a repository sale that you can come and see what is still available for purchase. You can make an offer, and it is highly likely that it will be accepted by the city, the county, and the school district. So I think your idea of looking at ways to encourage that development is very important. And there's some variation in the way that's being done. It's a little different with the school district than it is with the city and the county. But the city has surely been the most enticing and most generous with their programs to get this development to happen.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Joe. But I did want to follow up, though, with RETAP and how RETAP can be used. If they are restoring the home, then they could easily be eligible for RETAP, correct? So that does give them actually a 10-year tax abatement, potentially for the city taxes, and a what amounts to a 50% tax rebate or reduction over the 10 years from the city school district and possibly from the county, depending on how they vote in the next few weeks. The county is possibly changing their RETAP program, which is for residential housing, from what we have, which is the potential for 10 years complete tax abatement, to a staggered approach of for the first year you have to pay 10% of your taxes. Then the second year you have to pay 20%. Then the third year, when you add it all up, it becomes a 50% tax reduction over 10 years. They're considering changing that right now. But those incentives that you're talking about, as long as they are going to rehab the houses, they are then potentially eligible for the RETAP, correct?
That is correct. That is very correct. It's a function of, and what I heard the question from Mary Lou was the change of the base, like literally reducing the overall base of what the property is valued at, which is a reassessment, which could potentially be done, and then incrementally stepping in. But again, that means there's a reduction overall of value and revenue to the municipality that needs to be explored and vetted and at least considered in terms of its impacts. I'm all for inducing and incentivizing development as long as we do it intelligently and don't necessarily unduly enrich developers beyond what they make in terms of revenue on a deal to begin with. But again, to the mayor's point, RETAP is a tool. Reassessment of a property in consideration before RETAP as an abatement is another tool. But again, I would be remiss if I would have spoken out of turn in front of you or the treasurer in terms of my desire to reduce everything down to zero and see it all rebuilt back up again.
Reassessment, as you suggest, though, is really a function of the county, not the city. We have no control over that. And the situation over in Lancaster has sparked my curiosity with reassessment. They have reassessed over in Lancaster, and the value of their properties went up so high that the percentages of their taxes were cut almost in half, I think. But again, you're paying the same amount of money, but the percentage is cut in half because your valuation went up dramatically. It looks great on paper that the annual taxes in the city are about 5.6%. And Lancaster's just dropped to like 2.3 or 2.7, something like that. But their property values, assessments, went through the roof. So it's a good thing, but it doesn't change the amount that's coming out of your pocket at the end of the day. So reassessment, to me, I've always had concerns with reassessment because of the real estate REAC, the real estate or the realtors of York, in their measurements have shown that we are still over 30% below what our values were at the last major reassessment. So I'm afraid that a reassessment would actually make our properties go down in value. And if our properties go down in value, we would have to increase the percentage of taxes to make the same amount of money. And we'd look even worse than we do at 5.6%. Imagine an 8% annual. That means you're rebuying your house every 12 years. Just with the taxes, not getting any equity. That's just the taxes. So I caution against a broad reassessment, and I know I digress, but it's something that I've been considering over the last few weeks, whether it's a positive or not. Regardless, it's not something that is really in the power. It's not a decision that is in the power, or that the city has the power to make. We could encourage it if we believed in it, but I'm not there yet as far as a broad reassessment. Yes, of course.
Just to give you an update, was texting with our building electrical bureau superintendent, Dave Rudolph, and we have guys working from our electrical bureau, and the sneakers will be pulled off tonight on the line. So just want to give you an update.
That's some action. Action Rudolph. That's his new nickname. Anyone else? Does anyone else have questions? Y'all came out and spent a lot of time with us here. Want to make sure that every question is answered. As Vice President Walker has said, this administration, me specifically, I've made the choice to attend city council meetings. Mayors in the past had done that, and it was something that I really respected. So everybody has the opportunity to ask questions of the administration or to make comments, and hopefully get responses from the administration or council at any city council regular meeting. That's the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock is the new time for city council meetings. And public comment starts promptly at 6 o'clock. I will stay after meetings to talk to people personally. And also, as Ms. Walker said, during the summer months, the June meeting is the first Tuesday, then the July meeting is the third Tuesday, and then the August meeting is the third Tuesday. So as we go into summer, only one meeting a month. Is there anything I am missing,
I think
Mr. Given?
One thing for the record would be we do have a number of openings for boards and authorities. Yes. So if people want to get involved in city government, please reach out, mayor's office at yorkcity.org, or use the contact form on the website, and we can point you in the right direction. And then I just have two questions from the internet. One for Mr. Green. Believe it or not, we have another roadkill question. That's two today. So I think if you can just outline how people can report roadkill and what the process is. And then Mr. Buffalo got a question about current available services for the homeless in the city. And the homeless in the city, and what the mayor's goal might be long-term for that. So I think that's all I had from the internet, so thank you guys.
Roadkill. If you spot a dead animal on the street, on your sidewalk, please contact us, 717-849-2245. We will send someone out immediately. If it is in your backyard, we will not go in your backyard to get the animal. So just for liability purposes, we won't go in your backyard. But if you notice anything on the street, sidewalk, something that may have been hit by a car, if there is a dog maybe that got hit by a car, we'll probably call the police. Not hit by a car, but if you see a dead dog on the street, we'll probably call the police to see if there was any, fighting or anything like that involved. But please give us a call, 717-849-2245, and we will definitely address it right away.
I believe it was regarding homelessness. Yeah, very candidly, at the municipal level, I don't think we delve deep into the homeless issue other than providing for resources for other agencies to address the matter. The premier agency locally in our market is definitely LifePath Christian Ministries, which is spearheaded and run by Mr. Matt Carey. I don't have Matt's number off the top of my head, but we can certainly, if you reach out to our office, very matter-of-factly put you in touch with Matt or members of his staff to address the issue, whether it's male, female, or worst case scenario family, displaced homeless individuals. But certainly LifePath is the most premier agency to address it. If you are currently living presumably on the street, pardon the colloquialism, but then secondarily, if you're at crisis or in need of potential help with renter's assistance or some sort of other program of that nature, I believe Community Progress Council at one point in time, they no longer do.
Yeah, it's Bell Socialization.
Bell Socialization Services, I misspoke. Okay. Thank you for the assist, my colleague Mary in the audience, but specifically Bell Socialization Services. Again, I don't necessarily have the phone number memorized by rote, but we can certainly put you in touch with that agency if you're at risk of potentially being evicted or upended from your home. But yeah, thank you for the question, Phil.
This is an issue that we are just really starting to get a grasp on. We're working with different organizations. I have asked Mr. Buffalo to join the group that is trying to create the home for students, the Cornerstone Youth Home. Their effort is to create housing for, just to start, create housing for 25 homeless youth. I believe there's an astounding number of 700 to 800 students at the York City School District that are homeless, which also includes having to bounce around, not having stability, housing instability. So, this is one of these factors. And there's a lot of stuff that we did not talk about tonight. There's a lot of stuff happening, I can tell you. All of the different things that we are working on social services, it's really a major focus of what we're doing. I'm blanking on their name, the group out of St. Matt's, the Lutheran churches, there's a new program that they are bringing in some of the Lutheran churches are working on a system where they're going to be able to house homeless families and kind of temporarily at the churches and move them from church to church until they can find something more stable. Of course, Bell does do families. However, they're usually pretty packed. We need more resources for this, and I'm looking forward to working on this program. It kind of almost fits in also. Well, I don't know if it really fits in, but we're working on a childhood trauma task force. Homelessness is another layer of childhood trauma. And we ask ourselves, or we blame the school district for not being the school district that we once knew. The fact is that the kids are going through hell. I mean, they're going through a lot of things that even 30 years ago kids didn't have to go through. And every time one of these traumatic experiences occurs, whether it's homelessness or hunger or violence in the home or violence on the street in front of them, sexual assault, all these things, bullying in the school, all these things build up on a kid and make it very, very difficult and near impossible to concentrate and focus in school to be a good student. So one of the things, to me, probably, I think our top priority, the one thing that I see that really addresses so many of the problems is helping these kids from 0 to 4 years old and helping the moms. And I know that our health bureau is doing amazing things. We've already got, we're increasing the number of nurses that are going into homes and meeting with pregnant women and young moms. We're adding mental health to a mental health component to those visits, and we're hoping to add some more early childhood education to that too, so that the kids are we have more awareness of what the kids are going through and the services that they are getting, because the fruit on the tree that we see in York City, the thing that when we have problems, when we have crime, when we have vandalism, when there's poor performance in the school, that is all the fruit of us not fertilizing, and, not helping these kids and young moms or whoever the caregiver is, grandmothers, great grandmothers, dads, uncles. Our families are very diverse in the city, and the caregivers are diverse, but we have to find a way to make sure that these young kids are getting the services that they need. And, this is part of Director Buffalo's and Director Kovacs. This is really part of their mission. Speaking of a little bit of the school district, I do want to thank them also for their partnership. I'm meeting now with Dr. Holmes every 2 weeks. The school district's problems are our problems. In many places, the school district might span multiple municipalities. It's not like that here. What happens in the school district is what's happening in the city. What happens in the city affects the school district. When it comes to the taxes, it's all the same. We're all paying out of the same pockets for the school district and the city. So we have promised each other to work much more closely together. And when Dr. Holmes told me about the problems that we are working on, we, the school district, and I said, no, there's no we over there. It's we, us, because we've got the same problems. Also, one more thank you to Family First Health, who is helping us and works very, very closely with our health bureau. You'll be hearing more about new programs coming out of our health bureau and Family First Health. And do I have anything else from the audience? There's a couple people who haven't said anything. You sat here a long time. You all right? Okay, well, I have cards up here. We all, I think, have cards and other ways to contact us. So thank you very much. Thank you for being our neighbors. And we'll talk to you again soon.